Hey everyone. First of all, I just want to say I miss you guys like crazy. And second of all, I wanted to show you Endo because you don't normally get to go to my house. So I'm going to just put him right behind me. Endo, can you say hi to the kiddos? Endo. Anyways, there's Endo just looking out for trouble. All right, now we're going to get started with our reading. We left Allie off with just wondering if she's going to be able to read or not. And let's see if Mr. Daniels can help her. Chapter 33, Possibilities. Working with Mr. Daniels got easier for me because I am happy, but the work is really hard for me. He has written cat on the board, and we talk about the sounds. I can only hear one sound, cat, but he says the word cat has three separate sounds. It feels like he's telling me the sky is yellow. As I say each of the sounds, he has me tap them out on my fingers. It does seem to help, and it forces me to make them separately, even though they are all a part of one word. But it's a tiny word, and I worry what I'll do about whole books. Will I ever be able to do this? When we're all done for the day, he leans back in his chair like Travis would. So, you're doing great, Allie. You really are. How are you feeling about all this? Well, I'm actually happy to do this extra work, and I never thought I'd say anything like that. He smiles. Good, I'm glad. But, yeah, I guess I still wonder if I'll ever feel, if I'll ever be able to read the same as the other kids and be normal and not have to have all this extra help. It seems impossible. He becomes serious. Then he takes out a piece of plain paper and pulls the cap off a marker with his teeth. He begins to write IMPOSSIBLE. Do you know what that says? Remember to break it into chunks. This is a long one, though, isn't it? I nod, trying to sound it out. Important? No, but it's a good try. It says impossible. Like you just said, you told me that you think it seems impossible to read as well as everyone else. Yeah, I say, wondering why he had to write it down for me. It's not like I need a reminder. Then he draws a red line between the M and the P, and he hands it to me. IM/POSSIBLE. I want you to rip the paper in two pieces, right where that line is. I do. So now, Allie, that big piece of paper in your hand says possible. There is no impossible anymore, okay? I swallow and look down at it, and I feel a little dizzy. The way he says it makes me feel like it could actually be true. Now throw the little pieces with the M on it into the trash. It's gone forever. I walk over to the garbage and drop it in. Watch it twist and spin as it falls. I look up and lock eyes with him, and I wish I had the words to tell him how grateful I am for his helping me. In the world of words, sometimes they just can't say everything. All right, then, he nods. You head home. I have some homework to do, or I'll lose my recess. Okay, I laugh, but I'm still thinking of the word on the paper. Thanks, I say, looking down at it. My pleasure, he replies, and takes a folder out of his briefcase. I stare at that word, POSSIBLE, all the way down the hall. I study the red color. I draw my fingers over the letters. I even smell the paper so I can take it in somehow. I really want to believe. Chapter 34, Birth of a Star. Keisha, Albert, and I walked to Albert's after school. Keisha and I asked if we could come over and see his house, and he shrugged and said, okay. The whole time my hand is in my pocket, holding onto that piece of paper. Possible. Albert's house is big but dark and dusty when we enter. There are piles of things everywhere. Not papers like our house. I mean piles of things with tubes and wires, things I don't recognize. His mom greets us. Hey, Albert, you have guests? Her tone tells me that this never happens. Yes, I do. These are my friends, Keisha Almond and Allie Nickerson. Allie and Keisha, this is my mother, Aubrey Dubois, he says, waving at each of us, and she comes over and shakes our hands. Can I get you anything to eat? She asked, sounding nervous. Albert paused. No, thank you. We'll just go upstairs. His mom says okay, as we are already following him up a skinny, tiny staircase. What kind of host, Keisha begins, doesn't allow his guests to have food? Dang it, Albert, I wouldn't have minded some. It wouldn't be logical to offer you something that doesn't exist. But she offered it to us, Keisha says. He opens his backpack and begins stacking his books on his desk like a pyramid. I can assure you that the refrigerator is quite empty. In fact, it hasn't been plugged in for a week. Oh, Keisha says, her voice getting quiet. I'm sorry, Albert, I really am. Now I know why his mom's voice sounded funny when she offered, and why he eats so much at school. Yeah, me too, I added. He turns surprised. Why? Keisha scrunched up her face and looks like she gets when she can't really figure him out. Well, I say, because you don't have food or a refrigerator. It must be terrible to be hungry and not be able to eat, and it's probably embarrassing for you. Maybe. I think it would be, I guess. He tilts his head, filling the refrigerator. Does not fall within the parameters of my responsibilities. Therefore, the lack of food therein would have no reflection upon me whatsoever. We are silenced. I don't know about Keisha, but I couldn't answer that for $1,000,000, and from the looks of her, I don't think she can either. I finally lift my gaze from his face to look around the room. Just a bed, a desk, and an empty trash can. The carpet and his blankets are all dark green, but his walls have colorful posters, all science related. There's one I like the most, a picture of outer space, but with every color you can think of, all swirled together with an orange glow off to the side. It's beautiful, I point at it. Albert, what is that? That is the birth of a star, the single most important thing that can happen in space. Well, the single most positive thing, anyway. It's beautiful, I say. He stares at it. Indeed it is, he says, sitting down at his desk. Keisha laughs. You're going to be a star one day, Albert. You'll do something amazing. He shifts in his seat. I don't wish to be in the limelight. Limelight, I ask. I don't like a lot of attention. Well, you better get used to it, Albert, Keisha says, because there's no way on God's green earth that you won't have boatloads of it when you go out and cure cancer or discover another planet or something. That's my hope. I want to change the world, do something good. And then, all of a sudden, I feel sad as Keisha goes on about how famous Albert will be, how he'll be written about in history books and stuff. Hey, Keisha says, poking at me, why so serious over there? I'm thinking about the things Albert and Keisha will do and how I can't even read. I can't tell them that, though, so I try to sound happier. I'm not that serious. Oh, yeah, you are. Dead serious. You need to smile. I am smiling, I say. Well, someone better tell your face that. I hesitate. Can I tell you both a secret, I ask, reaching into my pocket to touch my possible paper that I've carried since I got it? Yeah, of course. And you won't tell anyone? Yes. Now, what's the secret we won't tell anyone, because that's the definition of a secret? Albert is quiet, but his head is tilted to the side. I've never really told anyone this, but I have a lot of trouble in school with reading and writing and, well, everything but math and art. Keisha laughs. That is not a secret. And then I feel terrible, and I feel my eyes beginning to sting, and I start walking away, but she pulls my sleeve and pulls me back. Albert looks upset. No, that's not what I mean. I mean that we know that, but it doesn't matter to us. However, Albert says, I do wish it was easier for you. We will not share your secret. Mr. Daniel says I have something called dyslexia, which makes it hard to read letters. That's why I've been staying after school, so he can help me. Keisha's wide-eyed. Extra school after school? That's terrible. I mean, terrible. I want to tell her I'd spent the night at school I'd spend the night hanging upside down in a closet at school if I could just read. I don't mind. He's nice to help me. And we'll help you, Albert says. But I worry that maybe he can't help me, I say, and then I mumble. It makes me feel like I'll grow up and be a nobody. How can you say that? Keisha asks. Well, you'll probably have some big successful baking company, and Albert will do whatever in the world Albert will do, and I'm just hoping to read a menu in a restaurant. Keisha steps up and puts her arm around my shoulder. You say he's going to help you, right? You say, Albert adds and then pauses to think, that you'll grow up to be a nobody. But logically, if nobody's perfect, then, well, you must be perfect. Perfect? Me? No, I say. You are pretty perfect, Allie, Keisha says, laughing. Do like Mr. Daniel says, be yourself, be who you are. You know, Albert says, I've wondered about that saying, and I can't ever find an answer anywhere on the internet. What do you mean, I ask. Be yourself, you always hear that. So, Keisha asks. Well, Albert begins, what if you don't know who you are? I get what he means, I think. People ask what you want to be when you grow up. I know what kind of grown-up I want to be, but I don't know who I am now. Albert stretches his legs out. There are always people ready to tell you who you are, like a nerd or a jerk or a wimp. I think how it's not hard to believe the bad stuff. Look at it this way, Albert says. If you had to be in a tank of water with a killer whale or a stonefish, which would you choose? Well, duh, who's going to choose the killer whale? Well, in the wild, killer whales never attack people. Like, never. A stonefish is way more dangerous with its 13 venomous spines. It's the words. If the killer whale were called the friendly whale, no one would be scared. And I think of words, the power they have, how they can be waved around like a wand, sometimes for good, like how Mr. Daniels uses them, how he makes kids like me and Oliver feel better about ourselves, and how words can also be used for bad, to hurt. My grandpa says to be careful with eggs and words because neither can ever be fixed. The older I get, the more I realized how smart my grandpa was.